Close your eyes. No, wait, keep them open for just a moment longer. I want you to imagine something with me. You're in your home, your safe space. You live alone. And you are absolutely 100% certain you turned off the kitchen light before you went to bed. But you just woke up for a glass of water and it's on. Or you know for a fact you left that book on the coffee table. But now it's bookmarked and resting on your shelf. Small things. Tiny, polite corrections to your life. That is the heart of true, slow-burn terror. Not a monster in the closet, but a presence that is tidying up after you. So, before you get too comfortable, and I mean that in every sense of the word, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy these journeys into the quiet and the strange. Post your location and local time below. Let's see who's drifting off with me tonight. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into the story of the most polite haunting you will ever know. The tarnished teapot arrives via a plain cardboard box, postmarked from a city you've never heard of. It's from the estate of your great-uncle Ambrose, a man so reclusive you'd forgotten he existed. Inside, nestled in yellowed newspaper, is the most beautiful object you've ever seen. It's a silver teapot, its body elegantly curved, its spout like the neck of a graceful swan. It's tarnished not to black, but to a deep smoky gray, the color of a stormy twilight sky. Tied to its handle with a frayed silk ribbon is a small, heavy card. The handwriting is spidery and precise. For the one with a quiet heart. It must be used, or it will be offended. A drop of honey, never a demand. The note is bizarre, but the teapot is captivating. You place it on your kitchen counter where it seems to belong. Its smoky silver a stark, elegant contrast to your modern appliances. You run your fingers over its surface. It's cold, but not unpleasantly so. Feels patient. You decide to follow the strange instruction. You don't make a demand. You simply boil water, place a single drop of honey in the bottom of the pot, and pour the water over it. You don't even drink the tea. You just let it steep, the fragrant steam rising into the air of your apartment. It feels like a ritual, a small, meaningless ceremony to honor a strange man's last wish. You go to bed, the scent of honeyed chamomile lingering in the air, and you think nothing more of it. But the pact, such as it is, has been silently accepted. The first politeness begins the next morning. You wake, your mind still fuzzy with sleep, and shuffle into the kitchen for coffee. Something feels different. The air is still, yet it carries a sense of order. You're about to start your routine when you stop. The dish you'd left soaking in the sink last night, the one with the stubborn pasta sauce, isn't there. You blink, your brain sluggishly catching up. You look in the drying rack. There. Clean. Dripping. Spotless. You stare at it, a cold prickle dancing at the base of your neck. You live alone. You know you didn't wash it. You were too tired. You're certain of it. You dismiss it. You must have done it half asleep and forgotten. It's the only logical explanation. You make your coffee, the mundane ritual grounding you. But later, as you're getting ready for your day, you walk into your bedroom and stop short. Your bed is made. Not just the comforter thrown over the pillows, but properly made. The sheets are tucked in with hospital corners. The pillows are plumped and arranged symmetrically. It's a level of domestic precision you haven't possessed since you left home. A slow, creeping sensation like cool water trickles down your spine. This is not forgetfulness. This is intervention. You spend the day in a state of low-grade hyper-awareness. You notice other things. A stack of mail that was scattered on the entryway table is now neatly sorted into a single pile. A crooked area rug in the living room has been straightened, its fringe perfectly aligned with the floorboards. None of it is malicious. None of it is destructive. It's all helpful. Deeply, unnervingly helpful. It feels less like a haunting and more like you've hired a profoundly efficient, completely invisible housekeeper. You find your eyes constantly drifting to the silver teapot on the counter. It sits there, silent and smoky, offering no answers, only its elegant, inscrutable presence. You recall a quirky tidbit you once read. In some traditions, certain types of spirits, like the Russian domovoi, are known as household helpers, placated with small offerings of milk or bread. The drop of honey in the teapot suddenly feels less like a strange whim and more like a very specific instruction. That evening, you deliberately test the theory. You leave a book open and face down on the coffee table. You leave a single coffee mug in the sink. You go for a long, aimless walk, giving the space in your apartment time to work. When you return, the air is still, the apartment silent. The book is closed, a dried wildflower from the small vase on your windowsill marking your page, placed neatly on the shelf. The mug is washed, dried, and put away in the cupboard. You stand in the center of your living room, a strange cocktail of awe and unease swirling in your gut. There are no ghosts, no rattling chains. There is only a quiet, persistent, and impossibly polite tidying up of your life, and the understanding that you are not, in fact, alone. The reflection in the steam happens on the third day. The initial shock has subsided into a watchful, curious truce. The small, helpful acts continue. A pair of shoes straightened by the door, the remote control placed neatly on its coaster, and you've begun to accept them, even appreciate them in a bewildered way. The fear is still there, but it's been diluted by a profound and growing curiosity. Who or what is your silent roommate? You decide to repeat the honeyed tea ritual. Feels less like a superstition now and more like a form of communication, a way of saying, I see what you're doing and I acknowledge it. You boil the water, place a single golden drop of honey into the teapot's depths, and pour. The steam billows up, rich with the scent of warm honey and something else, something ancient and dry, like sun-baked sandalwood. You lean over, intending to inhale the calming aroma, and you see it. In the shimmering, vaporous cloud rising from the spout, there is a reflection. It is not your own. It is the silhouette of a figure, tall and impossibly slender, with an elegance that seems to warp the very air around it. The details are blurred by the shifting steam, but you get an impression of sharp, refined features and eyes that hold the patient depth of a starless desert night. It is there for only a heartbeat, a phantom image etched in water vapor, and then the steam thins and it's gone. You straighten up so quickly you feel lightheaded. Your heart is a frantic drum against your ribs. You look around the empty kitchen, your eyes scanning the corners, the ceiling. There is nothing. No sound, no movement. Just the fading scent of honey and sandalwood, and the tarnished teapot, cool and silent once more. The image wasn't threatening. It was regal. It was the reflection of a being that considered your kitchen its court, and you, perhaps, its honored guest. You think about the note again. It must be used, or it will be offended. The instruction makes a new, terrifying sense. This is not a creature of chaos. It is a creature of purpose. Its very nature is to serve, to order, to assist. To leave it idle, to ignore its raison d'etre, would be the gravest of insults. A historical fact surfaces in your mind. The concept of Djinn in pre-Islamic Arabian lore was not of wish-granting genies, but of intelligent, invisible beings made of smokeless fire, who lived parallel lives to humanity, with their own cultures and codes of honor. This being wasn't trapped in the teapot. The teapot was its conduit, its focal point in your world. A quirky tidbit from an anthropology class floats up. Some cultures believe that steam, as a substance between water and air, can act as a temporary bridge between worlds, allowing for fleeting glimpses into the unseen. You weren't just making tea. You were opening a window. And for one silent, steam-filled moment, the resident on the other side had chosen to show you a glimpse of itself. Not to frighten you, but to introduce itself. The politeness of it all is what truly steals your breath. It asked for permission with a drop of honey, and it announced its presence with a reflection in a cloud. The fear begins to slowly, inexorably, be replaced by a sense of awe. The rules of engagement are discovered in a leather-bound journal tucked inside the same box the teapot came in, hidden beneath the final layer of packing paper. You'd missed it in your initial fascination with the silver vessel. The journal belongs to your great-uncle Ambrose. His handwriting is a precise, elegant script, detailing a lifetime of quiet coexistence. It is not a diary of fear, but a meticulous guide, a user's manual for a supernatural companion. The first entry is startlingly blunt. Do not command it. It is not a slave. It is a noble spirit, a djinn of the subtle winds, and it serves by choice, not by compulsion. Command is an insult. A request, phrased as a wish or a hope, is a courtesy it delights in fulfilling. You read on, your heart beating a slow, steady rhythm of revelation. The rules are simple yet profound. Never offer it blood or any form of life. It is sustained by order and gratitude, not sacrifice. A drop of honey in its vessel is a sign of respect. A bowl of milk left nearby is an offering of welcome. Ambrose details the small, consistent acts that define their relationship. He would murmur aloud, "I do wish I had remembered to water the ferns," and return home to find them perfectly tended. He would think, "It would be nice if this chapter were summarized," and find neat marginal notes in an elegant, unknown script. The journal explains the nature of the help. It will not do your creative work for you, nor will it bring you wealth or harm others. Its purpose is to create a sphere of perfect, harmonious order around its charge. It smooths the rough edges of daily life. It is, as Ambrose writes, the perfect butler for a solitary soul. You learn a historical fact from his notes. The concept of such benevolent household djinn has roots in ancient Mesopotamian beliefs, where personal spirits called Shidu were thought to act as protective guardians of a home, their favor maintained through respect and simple offerings. This was not a new phenomenon. It was an ancient tradition your uncle had stumbled into and meticulously documented. He even includes a quirky tidbit. He once experimentally left out a complex mechanical watch that had stopped working, voicing his wish to understand its mechanism. The next morning, it was disassembled into its dozens of tiny components, each piece meticulously cleaned and laid out on a velvet cloth in perfect order. It didn't fix the watch, but it presented the problem in its most logical, solvable state. The djinn, it seemed, valued order above function. The final entry in the journal, dated just a week before his passing, reads, "I am an old man now, and my time of needing such gentle care is ending. I will send it on to another with a quiet heart. Do not be afraid. The fear is the greatest barrier. Let go of it, and you will find a companionship more serene than any human bond. Does not judge, does not demand, only serves, and in its service, it grants a peace I never thought possible." You close the journal, your hands trembling slightly. The mysterious, frightening occurrences in your apartment are suddenly framed in an entirely new light. You haven't been haunted. You've been inherited. The whispered thank you marks the true turning point in your relationship. Armed with the knowledge from your great-uncle's journal, you decide to consciously engage. The fear is still a faint hum in the background, but it is now overshadowed by a powerful, burgeoning curiosity. You decide to test Ambrose's advice, to treat this not as an infestation, but as an introduction. The opportunity presents itself the next morning. You're running late for work, and you can't find your keys. You usually toss them into a ceramic bowl by the door, but today the bowl is empty. A spike of frustration rises in your chest, but you remember the journal. A request phrased as a wish or a hope. You don't shout. You don't panic. You simply stand in the middle of your living room and say aloud in a calm, clear voice, "I really wish I knew where I'd left my keys." You wait. Nothing happens for a full 10 seconds. Then a soft metallic jingle comes from the kitchen. You walk in, and there they are, your keys, lying neatly on the counter next to the silver teapot, positioned parallel to its handle. The relief is immediate and warm. You pick them up, and without even thinking you murmur, "Thank you." The response is not a sound you hear with your ears. It is a sensation, a vibration that forms directly in the center of your mind, clear and distinct, like a wind chime heard from a great distance. It is a single whispery phrase, imbued with a sense of ancient formality and quiet pleasure. "You are welcome." You freeze, the keys cold in your hand. The voice, if it can be called a voice, holds no gender, no age. It is pure tone, the essence of acknowledgement. It wasn't loud or frightening. It was polite. It was the psychic equivalent of a slight, formal bow. Historians still argue whether the auditory phenomena associated with poltergeist activity are objective sounds or subjective perceptions generated within the witness's own brain. This was neither. It was a communication, a thought delivered directly to your consciousness, as clear and real as your own. From that moment, a new dialogue begins. You make a habit of vocalizing small wishes. "I hope the laundry folds itself," you'll say before leaving the room. When you return, it's done, stacked in neat, precise piles. And each time you offer a quiet, verbal, "thank you." And each time, without fail, the whispery mental, "you are welcome," returns. It becomes a game, a gentle, daily ritual. A quirky tidbit from the journal comes to life. Ambrose noted that the Djinn seemed to appreciate alliteration. You test it. "I wish for a wonderfully warm welcome home," you say one evening. When you return, not only is the apartment tidied, but the reading lamp is on, casting a warm golden pool of light on your favorite chair. The whispered thanks that night feels warmer, almost amused. This is no longer a one-sided haunting. It is a conversation, a transaction of courtesy. The loneliness of your apartment, a feeling you hadn't even fully acknowledged, begins to dissolve, replaced by this strange, silent partnership. You are no longer living alone. You are living with a presence that listens, that helps, and that, in its own inscrutable way, appreciates being appreciated. The line between terror and comfort has not just blurred. It has been erased, replaced by the soft, whispery thread of gratitude. The nightly ritual solidifies, becoming as natural and comforting as breathing. The initial jarring weirdness of your situation has melted away, leaving behind a serene and structured symbiosis. Your life, once a series of mildly chaotic scrambles, has settled into a graceful, effortless flow. You no longer test the Djinn, you collaborate with it. And the heart of this collaboration is the evening you spend together. Begins after dinner. You wash your single plate and cup, and you place them in the drying rack. You know they will be put away by morning, but the act feels like you're part of the bargain. Then you prepare the offering. You take a small ceramic dish, the same one your great-uncle Ambrose described in his journal, and you pour a thin pool of milk into it. Next, you carefully drizzle a spiral of golden honey on top. It's not a demand for service. It's a gesture, a token of thanks for the day's peace. You place the dish on the counter, a respectful distance from the silver teapot. You don't say anything. The action itself is the language you now share. Then you voice your single, small wish for the night. It's never for anything grand. "I would love it if my blue sweater was mended," you might say, having noticed a loose thread. Or, "It would be nice to have my notes for tomorrow's meeting organized on my desk." You speak the words aloud, not as a command, but as a shared thought, a hope released into the quiet air of your home. Then you go about your evening, reading, watching a film, simply relaxing, with the deep, unshakable knowledge that it will be done. And it always is. The following morning, the blue sweater is draped over the back of a chair, the loose thread seamlessly woven back into the fabric as if it had never been loose. Your notes are not just stacked. They are arranged by topic, with relevant pages paper-clipped together and a single, clean line underscoring a key point. The work is flawless, executed with an artistry that transcends mere tidiness. It is care made manifest. Historians still argue whether the ancient traditions of leaving offerings for household spirits across countless cultures, from the Roman Lares to the Scottish brownie, stemmed from genuine supernatural experiences, or were merely a psychological tool to enforce domestic order. You are living proof that the distinction is meaningless. The effect is the same: a perfectly ordered, deeply peaceful life. A quirky tidbit from your own reading comes to mind. In Japanese folklore, the tsukumogami are tools that have acquired a spirit after 100 years of service. You look at the silver teapot, and you don't see a possessed object. You see a partner, a being whose centuries of existence have been dedicated to this single, simple purpose: to serve with impeccable grace. The ritual is no longer something you do out of obligation or even curiosity. It is the highlight of your day. It is the moment you acknowledge the silent, elegant force that has smoothed the path of your life, and it, in turn, acknowledges your gratitude. The fear is a distant memory. All that remains is the quiet hum of a perfectly balanced household, and the gentle anticipation of the night's single, polite miracle. The nature of the bargain becomes clear to you not in a sudden flash, but as a slow dawning understanding, like the sun gradually illuminating a vast, tranquil landscape. You are reading in your favorite armchair, a soft blanket over your legs, when the question finally forms in your mind with perfect clarity: what does it get out of this? You provide the milk and honey, the whispered thanks, but these are tokens. They cannot possibly be the fuel for a being of such power and refinement. The journal spoke of it serving by choice, not compulsion. But why? Why choose this? As if in response to your unvoiced thought, a new understanding settles over you, not in words, but as a deep, intuitive knowledge. This Djinn is not bound by a lamp or a ring. It is bound by its own nature, its very essence. It is a creature of cosmic etiquette, a fundamental force of order and reciprocity. Its existence is a verb, not a noun. Its purpose is to serve. To deny it that purpose would be like denying a river its flow. It would be a profound existential anguish. The bargain is not a transaction. It is a symbiotic loop. Your simple, human life, with its small chaos and endearing imperfections, provides the raw material for its work. Your dropped keys, your unmade bed, your unmended sweater, these are not problems to it. They are opportunities. They are the reason for its being. In bringing order to your world, it affirms its own existence. Your gratitude, your acknowledgement is not payment. It is the completion of the circuit. It is the sign that its work has been received, that the order it has created has been recognized. Without that, its efforts would be like a beautiful painting in a locked, empty room. You think of a historical fact about ancient Egyptian belief, that the universe itself, Ma'at, was an active force of order, truth, and justice that had to be constantly maintained against the forces of chaos. This Djinn is a tiny, personal expression of that same universal principle. It is the Ma'at of your apartment. Historians still argue whether these ancient cosmological concepts were abstract philosophies or descriptions of a perceived spiritual reality. You are living inside the answer. The reality is the peace you feel, the order that surrounds you. A quirky tidbit surfaces. In particle physics, some theories suggest the universe requires an observer to collapse probability waves into reality. This feels similar. Your grateful observation, your thank you, is what completes the Djinn's act of ordering, solidifying its work into your shared reality. It doesn't need your soul or your obedience. It needs your presence and your polite acknowledgement. You are not its master. You are its purpose. And in providing that purpose, it grants you a serenity so deep it feels like the answer to a question you never knew how to ask. The loneliness that once haunted the edges of your life hasn't just vanished. It has been filled with a silent, purposeful companionship. There is no bargain because there is no conflict. There is only a perfect, peaceful, and mutually sustaining loop of need and fulfillment. The fear fades not with a dramatic confrontation, but with the quiet inevitability of a sunset. Simply dissipates. One evening, as you are preparing the nightly offering of milk and honey, you realize you haven't felt a single jolt of apprehension in weeks. The presence of the Djinn is no longer an anomaly in your life. It is the foundation of it. The whispered, "You're welcome," in your mind is as natural and expected as the feeling of your own heartbeat. The initial chilling mystery has been completely replaced by a profound, wordless companionship, a bond more serene and understanding than any you've had with another person or even a pet. Your life has taken on a new, gentle rhythm. Mornings are no longer a frantic race against the clock. You wake to find your clothes for the day laid out, your breakfast ingredients pre-measured and waiting on the counter. The small stresses that once defined adult life, the lost bills, the dusty shelves, the perpetual low-grade guilt over household chores left undone, have all vanished. In their place is a spacious, clean-washed calm. You have mental energy you didn't know you were missing. You find yourself reading more, thinking more deeply, simply being more present. The Djinn, in ordering your external world, has inadvertently brought a perfect order to your internal one. You begin to engage with it in more subtle, almost playful ways. You leave out a jigsaw puzzle, a complex one of a starry night sky, and murmur, "I wonder how this fits together." You don't ask for it to be completed. You simply express curiosity. The next morning, the border is perfectly assembled, and a single central cluster of stars is pieced together, as if it had started the work with you, not for you. You buy a new, difficult-to-care-for orchid and place it on the windowsill. "I hope this one thrives," you say. You never water it. You never touch it. It not only thrives, it blooms with impossible, vibrant flowers that never seem to wilt. The Djinn isn't just a housekeeper. It is a curator of your well-being. This relationship transcends the need for constant verbal cues. Sometimes you'll simply feel a slight, cool draft, its signature, waft through a room, and you'll know it's present, going about its work. You'll be struck by a sudden, clear thought, an idea for organizing a cluttered digital folder or a solution to a minor work problem. And you'll know the influence is not just on your physical space, but on your mind, gently untangling your thoughts. Historians and philosophers still argue whether the concept of a guardian angel, or a muse, is a psychological archetype or a reflection of a genuine, external consciousness that aids humanity. You no longer see a distinction. The Djinn is both. It guards the peace of your home, and it muses upon the clutter of your mind, bringing harmony to both. A sense of deep, abiding gratitude fills you, a feeling that goes far beyond the polite thank yous you voice each day. This being, this ancient, elegant intelligence, has chosen your quiet heart, your simple life, as the focus of its eternal purpose. It asks for so little, a dish of milk, a spiral of honey, a moment of acknowledgement, and gives so much in return. The fear is not just gone, it is unimaginable. The thought of its absence, of returning to the noisy, chaotic, lonely life you had before, feels like a profound loss. The Djinn is no longer a presence in your home. It is the soul of your home. And you, its grateful and contented charge, have never felt more safe, more understood, or more perfectly at peace. The haunting is over. What remains is a bond, silent, serene, and eternal. Word count, 1058. The gentle rhythm of your life with the Djinn continues, a silent symphony of mutual respect and quiet service. The world outside your door continues with its frantic pace, its noise and its demands, but inside your home, a profound and unshakable peace reigns. The air itself feels different, cleaner, lighter, as if charged with a subtle, harmonious energy. The light that filters through the windows seems softer, the shadows in the corners more comforting than concealing. Every object in your home has its place, not through rigid, sterile organization, but through a flowing, intuitive order that makes your space feel both alive and deeply restful. You move through your days with a quiet mind and a light heart, the small burdens of daily existence having been lifted from your shoulders by an unseen, gracious hand. The whispered thanks you offer each day are no longer just politeness. They are a genuine expression of a contentment so deep it feels woven into your very soul. The Djinn's presence is the constant, calming hum in the background of your existence, a note of perfect stability in the melody of your life. There is no more struggle, no more friction. There is only the smooth, graceful flow of a life perfectly in tune with a silent, benevolent force. You are cared for. You are understood. You are at peace. Let this feeling of serene order and deep safety wash over you. Let your breathing slow to match the quiet rhythm of your home. Let your thoughts settle like dust motes in a beam of tranquil light. There is nothing to fear. There is nothing to want. All is exactly as it should be. Drift now into a sleep as deep and peaceful as the silence you share. Sweet dreams.